All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our April Finance and Administration meeting. We are going to kick it off here with the quarterly financial report from Jessica Stratton.
Are you controlling it? Okay. All right, good afternoon. So today I will be going over the first quarter financial report. I prepare 3 of these quarterly financial reports a year. I do one for Q1, Q2, and Q3. Q4 is actually covered by the year-end report. The quarterly reports are variance reports, wherein year-to-date budget is compared to actual, so it is not a projection, although these variances do inform projections. So both the year-end report and the 5-year projections are prepared by the CFO, and they should be presented next month, if not at the June 3rd FNA. So some housekeeping when it comes to looking at these reports. It's kind of hard to understand a financial report if you don't understand the underlying accounting. So I do want to give the caveat that City uses a cash accounting throughout the year, meaning revenues and expenses are recorded only when cash is exchanged. The accounting team makes accruals, so that is, it tries to link transactions to the time in which they happened only during year end. So that is the biggest fundamental difference between periodic reporting, which is what I'm doing, and year end reporting. Additionally, the city budgets only annual figures. So when I compare to like a year-to-date budget, I'm calculating that year-to-date budget. And sometimes you can see different numbers in different reports depending on the person that prepared it and the method they were using. So the calculation that I use for the year-to-date budget, it uses last year's spending patterns. So if a department's spending is significantly different between the 2 years, projecting their over and under budget can become even more difficult. All right, so the quarterly report has 4 sections. The first section is general fund. The second section is all other funds. The third section is the CIP project status update. And section 4 is economic briefing. So section 1, which is where we've started here, it begins with a very important table. Literally, if you disregard everything else I say, this is what you pay attention to. This is the year-to-date budget variance for general fund revenues and expenditures. So this table shows that the general fund revenue is favorable to budget by 2%, and general fund expense is also favorable to budget by 3.7%. And then we dive into these figures as to why and where it's coming from as you go down the report. So this table, yes, this is good. So first we want to talk about budget, and this table shows how the adopted general fund revenues and expenses were amended during 2024. Again, this is a Q1 report, so we haven't done a bunch. Every quarter in the footnote, you will see the exact SBOs or budget transfers that contributed to the amendment. So we just have one for revenue and one for expense thus far this year. The SBO for revenue was returning that $3.1 million that was used to place SBD vehicle orders last year. So we returned it back to the general fund using an ARPA reallocation SBO that y'all voted on. And then the SBO for expenses is the encumbrance, the regular recurring encumbrance carry forward that we do February of every year. And this is taking all of 2023's pending payments, putting them in a reserve in 2024 to then pay. So those are the only 2 SBOs that have changed the adopted general fund budget thus far this year. So page 2 begins the deeper dive into these general fund revenues. Again, remember, it was favorable. You can see that the general fund departments have received about 10% of their annual budgeted revenues. And I want to remind everyone that, again, this is a result of the accounting team only recording revenues when cash is received, not necessarily when it is earned during the year. So that is maybe why 10% doesn't seem like what you'd expect, but it's definitely what I would expect at this time of year. The next big influx of cash will be May, when we receive our first half of property taxes. And then also, some of these revenues, they're only ever recorded at year's end. So that's also why you probably might expect more than 10% received, but I expect around 10% at this time. So at the top of this, just barely, you can see non-departmental and how it has the most amount of revenues there. So if you scroll a little bit farther down, you'll see that I break out non-departmental because it does receive 90% of the general fund revenues. This is where we put almost everything that is citywide revenues. And the bottom table shows which revenue categories are trending over last year's actuals. So just a little bit more. There you go. And here we see significant growth in taxes and miscellaneous revenues. So let's go to page 3. And we're going to look at those general fund revenues by category. And this agrees with the previous page, and it shows that interfund utility taxes, is that up there? Yeah. It is contributing the most to that favorable variance that we saw at the very top, that 2% favorable to budget. And that is the taxes that our Public Works is paying, according to our SMC 8. And when I looked into function, it's sewer and solid waste that is paying more in utility taxes than budgeted thus far. The revenue category that is underperforming the most is charges for services. And this is because this is an accounting treatment that we do, that it was actually processed in April rather than March. So it just missed my Q1 cutoff. And what this is this quarterly indirect cost assessment. This is when we take the general fund cost allocation and then we literally assess it to all the paying departments to pay for our central services. So it has been posted as of April, like I said, but if it had been posted within March, that positive revenue variance that we saw at the beginning, it would have grown to 8.6%. So the revenues are doing very well. Page 4 dives into general fund expenses. So what you'll see on the far right there is a fair amount of red or unfavorable general fund departments. So I look at all of these one by one and I figure out what's driving it. And to be honest, it's difficult when you're only 23% of the way into the new year. But I did find a handful of issues that I thought I should bring up. First, at non-departmental, we pay out the West Plains annexation out of that department, and it increased 32% over last year due to Airway Heights doing a levy lid lift that we did not budget. The mayor is aware of this, and I believe she is looking into all annexation agreements. In the police department, that's our most significant unfavorable. If you could scroll a little bit further down, Jacoby. So the police department, what I saw, there were significant increases identified in extra duty and in terminated leave pay. I believe Interim Chief Lundgren did address the terminated leave pay at the last study session. They do tend to be more in Q1. So hopefully police can absorb that over time. So these two are definitely a red flag of I want to keep paying attention to these, and we very well might see police on the mid-year budget review. Community Justice Services, it's there kind of at the bottom. It has those 11 positions that only have half year's worth of funding. And the mayor has, in one of her ARPA reallocation SBO, she's proposing to address that via that SBO to get them their other half of the annual funding. So that is what I found in the departments. When you scroll down and I start looking at it categorically, I do see that personnel benefits there is unfavorable. And this is because we built the 2024 budget with a 1-month medical premium holiday baked in. So until we actually execute that, all departments' medical insurance lines will appear to be trending over budget, right? Because we only have 11/12 of that premium payment actually built in. So more news on that front later. We did have a meeting about it this morning, so. Page 6 is the last part of general fund, and what it shows is the reserves. And these are tentative. We are not officially done with 2023 year end, but what it shows, again tentatively, is that 2023 ended with about a $3.7 million addition to unappropriated fund balance. And then that SBO we were talking about that has already occurred at the beginning of 2024 of that 3.1 million being returned to the general fund. That means unappropriated general fund balance is tentatively right now at 14.4 million. That's approximately where we're at. Are there any questions on general fund? Yes.
Jessica, I think on the first or second slide, I just happened to see a number that you scrolled past that showed fines being like negative 2,000%, and I'm just kind of curious about what that's indicating.
So probably a small number in magnitude, but it's might be due to traffic fines. I can look
Okay.
into that.
So, which, not that you would have an answer to this, but that would kind of bring me to another question, because as we moved traffic calming funds into the traffic unit to stand that up, part of the 3-year plan there was that it would start to cover itself with traffic fines. And so that might be a topic to look a little closer at and just kind of see what's happening there.
Yes.
Because that's supposed to become self-sufficient, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And then one other, I saw there was one slide that showed municipal court having a favorable, and then I thought I saw when it was comparing it to year to date with the past year, it was in the negatives, and I was just trying to see if I misread that or misunderstood what I was looking at.
Municipal court, the department, it did end 2023 negative. What is it here?
Yeah, so that's negative. And I thought I saw somewhere else where it showed it positive, and maybe I just misread it.
I don't think so.
Community Justice Services, that's what I,
Oh, maybe that's,
down at the bottom, you
They're
talked about that.
also negative. And that's because of those 11 positions. Now, MuniCorp, from what if I'm remembering this correctly, they had a vacancy discount applied, and they're more fully staffed than anticipated.
okay. That was it for me. Any questions from anybody else? Are you doing the investment report as well, or is that Matt?
No, I have a couple more things to just run through. This goes much quicker, but the big thing I wanted to say is that this report, so we just talked about Q1 being favorable to budget. And again, we're only 3 months into the year. So what it's showing is that the city is doing okay in the first 3 months of this year under a tight annual budget. This does not mean the city's financial outlook is good, because quite frankly, it's not. This is why we have those study sessions every month. The structural gap still exists until revenues increase to meet that expense growth, or expenses are cut to meet that revenue growth. So that's just a reminder. So pages 7 through 15 outline other fund revenue and expense variances. I'm not going to go into all of them. I've double-checked a couple that I was maybe concerned about. The timing of all other funds' ins and outs is variable, most often seasonal, and so they're a little harder to look at. But overall, I didn't find anything overwhelmingly concerning. Pages 16 through 23, those provide CIP project status updates to all 2023 projects. So again, if you have any questions about the 500 projects we have, that's the first place to go to see what's going on. And then pages 24 through 26, these are economic indicators for consideration. They typically echo what Dr. Jones presents. Page 21 shows unemployment in the area has spiked during the winter months, which is typical for Spokane. We are still pretty seasonal, so I did expect to see that. Page 25 shows the 1 month of taxable sales we've received thus far, because it's always 2 months in arrears. And it's actually promising, with a 4.3% increase over January of '23. Retail trade has decreased, but all other categories have more than made up for it. So I thought that was of note. And that's all I have.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, why don't we jump back to the top? Parks levy resolution, Councilmember Zepone?
Yeah, thank you. This is just a resolution that would ask the auditor to delay the parks levy. I've had lots of conversations about when or how. If not, I just brought this forward to continue the discussion because we'd have to vote on it by next week. This currently says to delay it until November. So if there's interest to delay it, not delay it, I guess that we wouldn't have to do anything. Delay it till November or February or other timelines. We have time to amend that still.
Okay, any questions for Councilmember Zepone? All right, Jacoby, you want to take the next two?
Yep. Next two are two resolutions independent of each other appointing community members to serve on pro and con committees for ballot measures. Per state law, the city, when you all add a ballot measure to the ballot, are responsible for also appointing known members of the community who live in the city of Spokane or the jurisdiction under which the measure is being considered to pro and con committees, and they write up the for or against statement that appears in the county's mailer. So this is filed blank, still working on recruiting additional members to pro and con committees. So if you're listening or watching this and would like to serve, please reach out to me, gbyrd@spokanecity.org, and I can give you more information on timelines, deadlines, and we would be really grateful for your service.
Just to reiterate, if you are passionately for or against either of these measures, please reach out to Jacoby because we'd love to have your voice advocating for that position on the voter guide. So next up, we are going to move to Matt Boston, updates to SMC 0301A350, and then we'll move into ARPA after that.
Perfect, thank you. So this is just a house cleaning item. This is amending a section of the code that has taxes and licenses under management and budget as well as risk. That is now both broken out. Taxes and licenses are under Treasury. Risk is its own department right now. Any questions?
On there.
Okay.
And are you leading the ARPA?
I think I have the pleasure to do so. I think
Okay.
I'm going to be joined by a few others. Jacoby's got some slides that I think we're going to bring up. So there's obviously been a lot of conversations that have been happening with ARPA. I know council-led discussions, administrative discussions. We touched on it briefly during our meeting, our March budget meeting, to talk about a proposal, what the administration suggests that the council should do with the remaining amount left. There are a variety of projects, as you've all evaluated them, that have varying levels of direction that they're going, as well as momentum that they're going in their current or in their original status. We, as the executive side that all has participation in the work groups that are formed on all the different initiatives, have suggested that roughly 9.3 be pulled back. As of right now, it looks like council has suggested just shy of 5 million, and those are those projects right up there based on your dot exercises. Obviously, includes ADU permits, chief recruitment, sweep back, projects of citywide significance, EV stations, municipal building, and youth behavioral health of 1.3. So that gets to that 4.944. Next slide just talks briefly about. And do you want me to switch that, Jacoby? Okay. Next slide is just the additional ones that we had suggested in the discussion, as well as the mayor's proposal. Sub-area planning, 369. There is a delta between what has been spent and that 369 amount. That is what Spencer Gardner believes and his department believes can be utilized, but believes that there is an opportunity to pull that 369 back based on the capacity of the department as a whole right now, as well as timing to get the funds out by 12/31/2024. Again, just a reminder, we do have to have any work under contract by 12/31/2024. So if it's kind of left in limbo, we leave ourselves with a very high risk of having that swept back and writing a check back to the feds.
Sorry to interrupt, just to follow up though, are you suggesting, or Spencer suggesting, that that amount could be swept back without affecting what we've discussed with regards to West Central and East Central?
Correct. I believe so. I believe that's, yes, correct. Yes, Adam is telling me that that's a correct statement. Youth behavioral health, 400K. Believes, again, capacity and timing on the project that we're hearing is currently underway. Neighborhood business districts of roughly 2.5 million. That's the delta after the original consulting work was done. Again, that's risk of us pushing up against the 12/31 clock, capacity of us being able to get an RFP out because currently we are working on other RFPs, multicultural centers being one of them as well. And grading, scoring, and then having them have to do the competitive bidding process when they push that money out into the individual districts. I think, and I might be just presuming this incorrectly, but I believe it was originally intended, at least the way that I interpreted it, was that the 2.5 that was meant to be distributed out to the different business districts were going to be handled by different organizations in those business districts. While there's 2.5 that can be swept back, I think Terry Stripes, as well as myself and some of the other council members, had talked a little bit about allocating roughly $750,000 for an overall cleanup. The proposal that it is right now very much suggests or leans to a bid, but unfortunately we don't have the ability to set up a bid in this short window from, really May to December 31st. The original proposal from the administration previously, Terry Stripes was leading that charge, was to set up a bid and have that 2.5 million be the first year of operating costs for that 2.5. Now, the way that I'm seeing the consultant recommendation is it's for operating costs as well as a small amount of capital. But once those operating costs go away, there is no sustainable funding source past this. So then you run the risk of creating a beast that says, hey, we need this funding. I think there was security services in one of them where we need this funding, and then the invariable reaction is if there's any sort of negative consequence once that funding goes away, you have a risk to the city as a whole to try to make those neighborhoods whole again. Multicultural centers, 1 million. This is more just from an impact statement. I believe we're currently under the process of setting up an RFP to do 10 $100,000 capital project grants. Again, I think from my recommendation, I think $100,000 doesn't go a long way for a capital project of any organization. $100,000 might get them a plan, but then what happens after that plan? It sits on a shelf in theory, or the flip side is it could go move mountains to get them in the right direction. But I think $100,000 spread out between 10 organizations doesn't have the type of impact that I evaluate from the original ARPA dollars. So that's our suggestions. Moving into the next slide, based on the curtailed amount of roughly $5 million, and I'll have Dawn talk about this a little bit as well as Alex. 2.65 going to House of Charity, 1.8 for compassionate addiction treatment, and then about 550,000 for courts. Jessica suggested what's currently going on with courts, them being over budget. They were looking for additional funding through the middle of the year. They are looped into the public safety levy for that expansion in pretrial diversion services, and I believe maintaining the EHM program. So without further ado, Dawn, if you want to talk about the...
Thank you, Jacoby. Oh. Hey, everybody. So this is kind of in alignment with what the mayor has been talking about in terms of using one-time opportunities for some pretty major, impactful investments. So there was clearly a conversation predating this administration about what it would look like if House of Charity was able to relocate. We've had some wonderful conversations with House of Charity. They're open to, not open, but like committed to that, as well as doing a model transition and operating more like a Catalyst facility, so that it's not a night-by-night shelter with people rotating in and out, but kind of an additional emergency housing program like the Catalyst is, where folks have assigned spaces and the ability to return and engage in services, which would maintain the capacity in the system, but improve both outcomes and reduce the impact on surrounding neighborhoods, because there wouldn't be the in and out hours all day long. So we're proposing 2.65 to aid in that effort, both in terms of relocating and in changing the model to that Catalyst style model. And then the compassionate addiction treatment request, which is the 1.8, would be to both relocate and co-locate their two programs. So right now they operate two different operations that are on opposite sides of division, and folks are constantly crossing the street trying to access both of those pieces. This would allow them, ideally in the right facility, to co-locate their services and relocate off of Second and Division. It also allows them to expand services. Right now, their sobering center, which is on the east side of Division, has 16 beds. A relocation would allow them to expand up to 24, potentially more, which we know there's a huge need for those beds in the community. And then allow them to better maximize their staff, so their staff are not trying to serve two different locations, but can serve two different clinical needs in one facility, allowing them to provide more services. Both agencies, conversations that we've had, have been really clear about also needing to reduce impacts on neighboring communities by building internal outdoor spaces within their facilities, talking about hours of operation, styles of service, and some commitments, pretty strong commitments that would come with these types of dollars that would support their relocation. It also helps to kind of decentralize the amount of services currently being offered at Second and Division, which we do believe will help have a positive impact on that neighborhood, as we're trying to really support the needs of both the gateways, but also of the programs that will continue to exist in that neighborhood and need a safer environment to do so, frankly. So that's happy, yeah.
I have a couple questions for you. So I guess first is sort of on the RFP side, how can we delineate that we're giving money to these specific organizations? That's one. And then, but then follow up on that, and I know there's ongoing discussions around CAT and where they might locate, but specifically with Catholic Charities, I guess two specific questions. One is I've been told that they're really only looking to relocate 2 blocks away, which I don't see how that does anything for the area whatsoever. But two, when this proposal was brought forward by Mayor Woodward 2 years ago, it was a $12 million cost, and now it's 2.6. So what? I guess that's a pretty dramatic change. What's the difference?
Yeah, and I'll let Michelle or Jason speak to the RFP question when I'm done. On the cost of relocating House of Charity, my understanding of what the Woodward administration was proposing was a rebuild, as opposed to purchasing an existing facility that could be repurposed for this use, and so that's a huge driver in cost. They have looked at locations in the downtown core and outside of the downtown core and are continuing to do that. I think the biggest reason that I would suggest it's still impactful is that it's a complete model transition that they can't accomplish in their existing facility. So if they did move to like a hotel style facility, regardless of the location, it provides individual rooms for folks, and it allows them to provide more robust on-site services where they're not having to close for portions of the day. Right now, House of Charity is not open 24/7, so folks are required to exit the shelter and return for meals or at night to check back in. So pivoting that to a more emergency housing model where folks can be in their assigned rooms all day long drastically changes the impact and the traffic. We've also been clear that any relocation would need to require access to outdoor space that's not on the ground level or that is behind a sub-TED style fence, so that the outdoor activity, whether it's pets or smoking, can be confined to off-street level or inside a contained fence, depending on the location of the facility, so that the traffic of an emergency shelter closing throughout the day and reopening versus a 24/7 people can be in their rooms accessing services is a fundamental model shift that I think accomplishes a lot in terms of the impact you're describing. With our current building, it's 100 beds in a dorm style, and they really can't provide the same kind of model and services at the existing location. It's also contingent on them exiting that space completely and selling the facility, most likely.
Well, and I get that, and it sounds like a lot of improvements, but I guess to me it doesn't necessarily resolve the captive audience issue, which is a major one where the drug dealers know where to go. There's people trying to get better, and they're just inundated and a couple blocks away from where the issues are today. I just don't see how that really diversifies and spreads it out. It just kind of keeps it contained in that same area.
I think there's, the concern makes sense. I still think if I'm not required to stand on the street all day because I can be in my room, the captive audience piece is quite different. I'm not saying there's not some continuous impacts, but I think it does fundamentally shift quite a bit. And again, they're looking at multiple sites to try and evaluate where they can best fit with an existing structure, as we know we can't afford to rebuild a new facility. And you had a question about CAT, and I forgot what it was.
Oh, I just mentioned, I know that there's ongoing discussions around where they would be locating. So I've had a conversation with both Paul and Hallie about that. But yeah, and then the other was just on the RFPs, how this works.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. It's going to depend on how we write the specifications. So right now, it's like the ideal solution that it would go to these two agencies, but ultimately, it's going to be a little bit of a joint effort between Michelle Murray and myself, depending on how much can be allocated and doled out as grant funds, or if it's going to be something that's a purchase process. If it's going to be something that's purchased, then we just have to do due diligence to make sure we write our specifications, and then we'll follow a competitive process. And if it ends up being other entities downtown that are better suited for that funding, then they would ultimately be awarded in that case.
I guess maybe the follow-up to that is, I mean, I don't say we, but the city to a certain extent is making it clear this is ideal, right? And then if there are other applicants for these dollars and there's a competitive process and then it is awarded here, does it not sort of create this sort of argument that perhaps it was biased to begin with because we already decided this is where the money should go?
That's the challenge on the team, is to make sure we don't put that implicit bias in there, but mostly we recognize the challenges that are downtown, and so the intent is to go out and for improving the service models in the downtown core area. So the most likely candidates are these two. Will it be these two in the end? That ultimately depends on how we set up the specifications and the process we use.
And would council have the ability to review those RFPs before they're finalized?
We can certainly take your guys' input, but ultimately from city charter, you guys are supposed to be out of that process.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, absolutely, we can take your input and make sure that we do our best to honor your guys' desires.
Other questions? Oh, please.
Well, thank you, Jason, because I was concerned about the RFP as well. Also concerned about the House of Charities. So under the prior administration, at a State of the City, the mayor announced she was going to partner with Catholic Charities and move it from downtown. Total surprise to every council member that was serving at that time. Press release comes out, current mayor is going to help Catholic Charities move. So there is a sense of implicit bias to me because it's already out there. Not that I'm saying I'm opposed to it, but the process was very disconcerting. Also the same with CAT going forward, because there may be other entities who could do that work. So are we just focusing on that particular area, which needs attention? But the challenge is the community already has a perception that's what the mayor is going to do and that's what's going to happen. And that's going to make it really challenging to be objective. And are we writing the RFP so those two entities are the only ones that really qualify? Would be a question if I was a service provider in that arena that I would be asking as well. So, and we don't know where the relocation of the House of Charity is going to be. So there's a lot of unanswered questions with a lot of speculation out there that was probably not necessary to begin with, but this is where we're at right now. And Mr. Boston, I'm concerned with the amount, since I got you up there, we did the dot exercise and council has said there's only about $5 million available for clawback. But the consistency is y'all asking for 9. So, okay, so I just want to make sure. We said 5, the mayor has requested 9 in her original proposal out there.
Right.
So just like clarity, because some of those things up there, council is not in any position or willing to claw those funds back that have been committed already.
So the new SBO is based on that $5 million number, or the SBO that we're presenting, the proposal that we're presenting is based on that $5 million. Where the slide 2 that you saw was basically saying, this is also our suggestion from the executive side of the staff that is going to be managing these contracts and or grants, that this is the opportunity that we see for additional pullback. We understand that you've made the dot exercise decision to be roughly 4.955. That's what this proposal incorporates, which is the 2.65 for House of Charity, 1.8 for CAT, and then roughly 500,000 for courts. And to answer your question a little bit on, are we putting a sort of bias on helping out certain organizations versus what we're trying to be impactful for the city? I think that there's very little question that Second and Division, that area right there, is dangerous for pedestrians. It's dangerous for it's dangerous for the residents in those facilities, because we are talking about Division where everybody's blasting off, and that is the front door to our city. So it's dangerous for not only the pedestrians, the residents, as well as the drivers that are on that road. That if you were to write an RFP to say we need to relocate congregate sheltering facilities that are located right here because the residents are trickling off into that area, you can, but invariably there will be bias, because that's where the most impact for the city is. And I think that's the intention from the mayor, is to say, okay, let's remove those dangers off of that area right there, because we're seeing a lot of pedestrian vehicle interaction. We're seeing that be the tricky part of the city that we need to solve. So I think moving 2 blocks, 4 blocks, whatever it is, wherever the actual shift is, if this goes forward, it's a fundamental shift in the overall service and the way that it is operated, and then B, it's also off of that Second and Division corridor, which is getting right off of I-90, right going up one of the largest thoroughfares that we have in this city, which is Division Street.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't want to speak, for the providers themselves, and we have, met with them, and it seems like there is a appetite for them to want to move. I think that's really important to remember. And I think it was early Saturday morning, there was a fire at CAT. It was lit from someone outside, it sounds like, and I think that underscores a lot of the the concerns about safety that we're all aware of. But really quickly on the Catholic Charities point, when this comes up, I think the conversation around pivoting, like, that's so often missed. And so unsolicited advice would be to kind of, I think, really center that component too. But I also I'm curious to learn more about, like, what does that look like long term? So we do this, if we did this ARPA allocation, they do move and they do create these new services. Is that something that they can fund long term?
And we've started those conversations. Part of the idea is that the funding that's currently allocated to operate HOC could follow that model. So the current model that they have, or resources they have, could pivot to support the permanency of a new model. Their chief who oversees those programs is working kind of modeling out what would it cost additionally, and then how do we fit that into the competitive RFP processes that CHHS manages throughout the year. We also think there's additional resources coming to the table through various state and federal resources that would allow us to sustain some of these more emergency housing versus shelter models, as we're seeing that best practice trend pretty favorably towards this type of project as opposed to congregate shelter. But the baseline budget they have and would transfer with them.
Great. Thank you.
How are we allocating the dollars that we're getting from the state that would allow us to use Second and Division, or the ROW initiative essentially with Second and Division? Where are those dollars being allocated?
Well, so the EHF currently holds that contract with Commerce. They have unspent state fiscal year 2024 funds within that system of providers that we are doing contract amendments and pivots with through EHF and Commerce to fund that Second and Division street corridor work with the existing road providers through EHF.
Okay.
Yep.
And how quickly is that going to kind of come all together then, come to council?
Well, the council won't have to take any budgetary action because those contracts don't pass through us at all.
Oh, okay.
In state fiscal year 26, the road contracts will transition to City Hall, and then that would kick in. Right now, EHF has the direct contract with Commerce. The only ERP dollars that pass through the city currently fund the HMIS work that the city does from a data management perspective, and a portion of what has historically been used to fund the track shelter. But the Catalyst project, the Hope House allocation, and the EHF providers with Revive, CAT and Jules all flow directly from Commerce to EHF, so they'll be managing the budget changes on their end. We're just helping facilitate and consolidate the work.
So we don't have direction then, really, on how that work is being done and in what way?
No, we do. I mean, I am in partnership with I2 Strategies, WashDOT, and Commerce facilitating that plan and conversation. We're just not the budgetary lever on it.
Because I guess where I'm going with this is it seems like the use of those resources for some of what we're talking about here would be ideal, since it's very specific to that second and division corridor.
It is. The challenge is the ERP funds have to serve row badged clients only. And so if we simply moved, and I had this conversation with Commerce, can we use some of these resources to help facilitate the move of House of Charity? If we do that, House of Charity can only accept badged clients, which changes our ability of people who are literally on the street to just access shelter in real time.
Is that in perpetuity? Because we did that at Track, right? We'd have people could go from Camp Hope to Track, and we would just pay for that portion with
It is,
road dollars.
Perpetuity is fluid in this conversation, but the one-time capital funds for at least the next fiscal year where we have operational dollars locally are pretty tight. We do have a $8.2 million annual allocation starting in 2026 that will continue to fund several of the road projects, and at that time they'll be able to more broadly open up and then prioritize encampment response as encampments are classified row eligible by Commerce and WashDOT. But if we were told very explicitly we cannot use those funds to help relocate a service provider. And Hallie had a similar conversation with them about trying to locate CAT prior to the city becoming involved with those funds and was also told not an eligible use.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Before Alex speaks, so tell me about the RFP process, because we keep hearing to get those RFPs out is a 6 to 8 weeks process, and then to go out for review. So we keep getting the pushback on timelines and human capital to execute on that work. So it makes me think, are these RFPs already in the writing stage already?
These ARPA ones?
These ARPA ones, yes, the House of Charity and the CAT.
No, they are not.
Okay, because they says defining the scope, getting it out there is challenging. At least that's what we hear when we come up with ideas on our side.
Yeah. We have not started drafting any documents
Okay.
for that, no.
Oh, Alex, if you wanted to jump in first.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you real quick. Good to see you all. Thanks for having us. Just wanted to add on really quickly on that row ERP piece, because a huge part of the negotiation with Commerce and WashDOT was getting them to give us even a tiny bit more flexibility with those dollars. What we were running up against was the remaining dollars we had were going to be able to be used only for PH and PSH, only for those badge people. So we were running into a bit of a bottleneck, really. And part of the solution that we reached, fortunately, with them, with those state agencies, was the flexibility to declare that corridor and maybe badge some additional folks. By doing that, that enabled us to get the pipeline moving more.
Okay.
And then I also just wanted to emphasize that strategically, really the goal of spending these ARPA dollars in this way would be, at least in part, to make good on those row ERP dollars as well. The last thing we want to do is spend a lot of time navigating, badging, helping folks in that corridor, and then the sort of the magnet activities don't move. And then the last piece I wanted to mention is that the proposal for the new, the Catalyst 2.0, the new model, instead of HOC, and very much appreciate that. That's why we actually put the language in the slide there, closure of House of Charity, not transition or moving. Just want to make it clear that one of the buildings that's being considered by Catholic Charities for that activity, this would not actually be a new use of that facility. So we actually are pretty confident that there would not be that kind of street level magnet activity, because it would not actually be a substantial change in the population in that building.
Do you mean that building has previously been used or is actively now being used?
Both.
Okay.
For the last, yeah.
But this would be
better part of the
expansion,
last
correct?
decade.
Otherwise, aren't we not losing beds?
No, so what we'd be able to do is navigate the folks currently in that building to other PSH units throughout the system.
And one thing on that is that
If you could use the mic.
Sorry, one thing on that too is that this would also allow currently House of Charity only sleeps males. This would also allow them to sleep couples and females because they would have the safety of separate rooms. So it actually expands the number of people they can potentially serve. And it includes, if needed, in certain cases, relocation assistance for folks who may need to be rehoused, depending on whatever property is utilized. So that's all been kind of thought through. But it would actually expand who House of Charity, well, the new project would serve more people than House of Charity can serve currently.
Okay.
And the one last thing, Don obviously can speak to this better than I can, but the existing shelter audit process is accounting for the drawdown both at TRAC and at HOC. So ultimately, that night-to-night shelter space would be taken care of under the plan that Don and the team are working on and should be presenting.
May 13th.
Is that at a study session? So we have a little bit of time to,
We could do that. We were looking at coming to Urban Experience on the 13th, but if council prefer a study session, we could do that the same week. And we had talked with council president about also doing a study session that week on kind of just general CHHS document processes and timelines. So if we wanted to do both of those at a study session, we could certainly do that.
I'm open to, I mean, I'll defer to Councilmember Zappone and it's his committee, and then Jacoby to see if we have time, but yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I had a couple questions on all this, I guess. The first is on the council clawback recommendation. That is from the council work group. We met late last week, so those are the ones that we got from the DOT exercise. But I had a question on the projects of citywide significance, because what we were told in that work group was not 1.2 million from staff. We were told that that needed to change by about $500,000, I believe. So it was a recommendation from staff of $700,000 clawback. That new project had come in. So I just want to make sure that you don't have to speak to that now, but hopefully we can get clarity on that at some point, because that was a surprise to us.
So we can't, as you know, there's applications in for all of these projects of citywide significance. We haven't changed or stopped funding status until an action by council can be made. So it really is timing dependent of when those projects go out and when they get underway. We know that the reason that we originally said, okay, we can use, in theory, maybe DSC funding to fund these is based on council action. So the longer that we take, the greater the opportunity for more projects to be funded out of that ARPA status are there.
Could you just switch right now and have it start funding out of DSC instead of out of ARPA?
Could you look to see what percentage of this new project could be funded out of the DSE instead of the ARPA funds?
Oh, I'm fairly certain all of it could be funded out of the DSC, but I'm fairly certain that there also needs to be council action on that.
I thought that was considered gifting of funds.
No, we reviewed that, and it's not
It's
considered.
not, okay.
Yep.
So I guess we just need clarity on that, because from the dots it was 1.2. Then we've been told it was actually only 750 that was available.
Okay.
So I think that needs to have some clarity.
Yep.
And then the second question is just on kind of back to council president's comment about capacity on getting RFPs out. It sounds like there needs to be several RFPs out. So do you all need more capacity to help with that?
Well, it really, I mean, it depends on, I guess, to take a step back, I mean, we have to determine what the path forward is for what the recommendations are for the RFPs. It's my understanding that the council goes and talks about the idea for the RFP of which they see the intent of the direction that priority is supposed to go, and then it gets in theory kind of a head nod blessing to the group of the 7 council members, and that's when we go back to work for the RFPs. It's my understanding that the RFPs for multicultural centers, the 100,000 for multicultural centers, has not been back to RFP, or not been back to study session for council. The new direction for the neighborhood business districts has not been back to council for a study session, as well as, gosh, what's the other one that I'm thinking of? The youth behavioral health in its new form. So those are things that I think need to go back to council for, per your rules, of they need to get the head nod before they go to us writing RFPs.
No, it's supposed to be the last touch before the RFP is public. So previously, we have the work groups that come with the parameters, work on it. We're touching base, making sure that it's on the right track. Then we want to see the RFP before it goes out publicly, and that should be the last touch. Before we've done it where it's come to council on Thursday and the RFP was public the next day. So it was just, there should be a draft almost finished
They're
form.
all working. I know that.
Right.
I mean, Caleb and Michaela are both working on drafts for the RFP. Michelle, I don't know.
And I believe Multicultural Center is for this study session this Thursday.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm just reminding the process-wise was not come to full council for the parameters. That's
Okay.
what the work groups are for.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just for a last touch that we make sure that we're all on the same page before it goes out. And that would be still the same for the new RFPs on the whatever the reallocation is.
Whatever the reallocation is for, after you make the reallocation process, that we would, yes. That's fine. That's the direction that we can go. I think, I know Michelle, Caleb, and Michaela are all working on RFPs right now. Again, there can't be a snap of a finger and say, okay, here's 4 RFPs that are incredibly detail-oriented.
No, I was just concerned because you keep saying that you're worried about the capacity, and it looks like there's going to be 4, 5, 6 RFPs. So if there's something that we need to do to address that, I hope we could do that soon.
I mean, unfortunately, you're not going to get a temp seasonal in the door quick enough to get 4, 5, 6 RFPs out the door in that time period that you want, because you're going to, then at that point, you're going to have too much capacity for that person. I mean, it's going to ebb and flow. That's what every single department that we deal with, as they put out work products and they have a demand, it peaks and then it valleys. And that's kind of where we're at. We're at a peak right now where we're trying to get as many of these out as we can. But you don't want to hire people on and then have such a valley that you're not being efficient with the dollars that are being spent.
I know we got to move on, but shout out to Michelle and Caleb because they are rock stars. So,
And Michaela.
And Michaela.
yep, absolutely. So love them.
Is that everything?
That's it
Okay,
from us.
Don, you are up next for the track. And just for folks who are watching, if you didn't know, council has not actually taken action yet to claw any of those dollars back, but that is the recommendation from the ARPA work group. So, council could be taking action in the next couple weeks.
So we are just talking quickly about the track extension, the 1-month extension that's coming before council. I sent you all kind of a detailed email on April 11th. But Jason and I have been working with the TSA, Salvation Army leadership, on the amendment to the contract. Unfortunately, they were gone most of April, so we were not able to finalize details. We have a meeting with them on Wednesday of this week to finalize the details of the amendment. That will come before council at the May 13th Urban Experience Committee and then be briefed and legislatively voted in the subsequent weeks. The good news is we're substantially down dollars-wise. So the December billing was just over $1 million. The March invoice we had down to about $630,000. So the team has been doing really good work with TSA to both review those invoices and help them find ways to try and be strategic and save dollars. So we're shooting for an $80 per bed-ish per bed rate with them in the amendment, with the ability to reduce beds as we are able to stand up new and additional interventions. So that full amendment will come, but this is a 1-month extension to get us through May, so that we're not operating without a contract here in a few weeks. Any questions? Yes.
So where is Revive in this contract? Or are they in this? What does that look like?
Yeah, they have a separate contract for services, and we're working with Lane on that.
It says an extension for how long?
There's some internal discussion right now about what kind of services are best used at track if the intent is to decommission. So Lane and I we have a follow-up phone call this morning. We got halfway through our conversation this morning and Adam Schooley in our office has been doing some conversation with them to kind of figure out what is actually the right action with them to ensure that the right kind of services exist within track as we work to kind of ramp it down.
And as we ramp it down, there is money, with this reduced bed cost, money to cover that contract, whatever that looks like going forward.
The extension?
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
And for Revive as well, that's what I'm saying.
Correct, yes. Yeah, that's all within that original $10 million that was allocated to this effort at the beginning of the budget season.
Don, I don't know if you know offhand, and if you could just follow up later, that's fine. But I'm just wondering if you could clarify where we're at with regards to dollars specifically for the cooling, warming, smoke. Because obviously we use a substantial amount in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the December overruns is covered in the 23, that's been taken care of. But if not, is that something that we're also trying to solve for?
I can come with specifics at a later date because Skylar is my numbers guy. The 250,000 that's annually allocated for the warming, cooling, smoke has been exhausted in the winter season. I will say that the plan we have going forward, and you'll hear more about this either at committee or in a study session in a few weeks, but is to go out to RFP to stand up the interventions we'll be funding with the state dollars to decommission track, and that will be inclusive of operators who can surge based on need without having to have additional RFPs or contracts set up throughout the year. So one example there is, Hope House surged for 40 beds during that cold snap this winter at very low cost to the city. The idea is to have contracts in place with providers through that RFP process that we hope to put out next month that says if the temperature, is below X above Y or the air quality is this, you have the innate ability and expectation from the city to surge this number of beds at a per bed nightly increase, and just have those contracts in place and built into the standard shelter funding system that would be inclusive of the annual 250,000, but would certainly cost more than that to fund. Our thought is that by having existing contracts in place with providers in known locations, the ability to scale up and scale down is far more cost effective and flexible. It's kind of like a blanket value approach at adding and reducing shelter beds based on weather and smoke quality.
And when you say build it into our normal sheltering costs, other than Cannon, most sheltering was grants and pass-through, and I think even most of Cannon probably was too for a long time. So what is the standard sheltering cost? How do we think about that?
Well, most our funding for shelter comes almost exclusively out of our HHOS RFP on an annual basis through CHHS. So it would be trying to look at those funding recommendations are coming before council soon. Okay. This first RFP in May would help with the state allocated funds bridge that gap so that the next HHOS allocation could pick up that surge capacity, which would look similar to same thing Family Promise did. They added 25 beds for 6 weeks at a pretty low cost. It would just bake that into their contract with us at a per bed rate so that it wasn't a conversation in August or January. It was just agencies having indicators on when they expanded services.
And then I know we've got to move on, but the last piece I would just add to that is obviously considering folks who are not necessarily experiencing homelessness and making sure there's a safe place that they could go if they don't have adequate heating, cooling.
Yes, and Sarah Ness is working that very closely with the community centers to make sure that each neighborhood has its own hub for individuals who need that kind of care.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Any further questions for Don?
Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick Stryker, position transfer. Oh, somebody else cover. Matt, you covering this?
That item's being moved to urban experience.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Moving to urban. All right. Master contract, is that Laz? Copiers?
Yeah. So I think I have two items. One is the financial management system, and one is the Copiers Northwest renewal of the contract, $300,000. Which one would you like to cover first?
I'm
going to go with the copiers.
Yeah, the copiers is what we have here. I think the other one might be consent, so.
Perfect. So this contract is $300,000 to cover the lease of around 100 business hub or printing devices, the large devices we have, and some smaller. It includes parts, labor, the replacement of the toners, and the actual lease of the devices. We have like 100 to 110 devices throughout the city, police, fire, everywhere. And so some of these devices are leased, so we pay a certain amount a month. And the other cost included on that $300,000 is a cost per click, and that cost per click includes the toner, the labor, and the parts.
So Les, I know this is an extension of a current contract. So when we do extensions, do you actually go through a whole review of the contract for cost competitively instead of going out? It's not a new contract, but what do you do? Or are we just saying, okay, it's an extension and we just extend? I just need clarity.
So in this case, the contract is for another year. But we are receiving offers from other vendors, and we are considering reviewing in subsequent years the services that we pay for the lease of devices. One of the complications that has is that we currently have an infrastructure of hundreds of devices being used in the day-to-day operations of the city, and replacing those devices with a new vendor will require a careful rollout to prevent impacting business operations. And the other thing that we need to consider is that then the outgoing vendor will have to actually pick up devices they are leasing to us. So it's a complex maneuver, but yes, as a matter of fact, one of the things we are going to be doing with Copiers Northwest right now is a review of the other 200 or so devices that are not managed by them. So we have, think about in the 7th floor, we have this large elephant-like business printer that scans and does a lot of things. We have other smaller devices too that are not managed, and we're going to be looking at them to see if we can reduce printing costs in these smaller devices that are not inside the contract with Copiers Northwest. But Copiers, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Copiers Northwest is going to help us because we have a software in here in the city that is going to allow us to look through the network and find those devices. And they're going to come back to us and say, look, you're spending in cartridges, which are the smaller devices, this much money. We can save you this much. Here is an analysis. And we're going to be doing that with them at no cost to the city.
And so will that allow you then to kind of put together a relatively accurate kind of, what we spend in the year on copying, printing, et cetera, from the city?
Yes. Oh, clarification. Very good question. The $300,000 does not include the cost of the paper.
Yeah, but does it cover the ink? Is that, or the laser?
It covers the toner.
Yeah.
The devices alert automatically, and then we receive the toners. The paper is distributed by Reprographic, and the departments pay for that.
Yeah.
Yes, to answer your question, adding the additional devices, let's say 100 or 200 devices that are in the network today, to the Smart Print, which is the software, we're going to be able to then realize how many pages are we printing on these other non-managed devices.
Any other questions for, yeah, please.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could provide, and maybe this is follow-up, information by city department of how much printing that we use.
Yes, we have the information, and we can certainly provide it to you, of how much every city department spent, for example, last year with Copiers Northwest. That includes the lease of the equipment plus the cost per click.
That'd be
That
great.
information we have,
That'd be great.
and we can
Yeah.
provide it.
And then, obviously, as you go through and do this study and look at those additional costs that aren't included in these leases, it'd be great to be able to account for those too. So we have an
Certainly.
all-in estimate.
Certainly.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Nope. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a good day.
Dave Steele, Facilities.
On your
Security.
screen.
There we go.
Hello, sir. This is the security contract, the master contract that we use for mainly the intermodal facility, 24/7, and City Hall. This master contract also gets used by various departments like parks, occasionally libraries, the solid waste department at one of their landfills, things like that. This contract is an extension of time and dollars to match us up with the RFP cycle that we have scheduled for later this year, at which point we would put it out for a brand new round of competition.
Okay. Questions for Dave on this one? Not seeing any. Dave, I think you're off the hook.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, next up, Maggie Yates, Fire Chief appointment.
Good afternoon. Just bringing forward the appointment of Julie Oberg as the Fire Chief for the Spokane Fire Department. As I think you all know, Chief Oberg has over 25 years of experience in Overland Park, Kansas, serving in the fire service there. She worked her way up through the ranks, serving ultimately as battalion chief there before coming to Spokane to serve as our Deputy Fire Chief of Operations, and then most recently our interim Fire Chief. You might also know that we had an internal survey with the Spokane Fire Department where we solicited feedback from personnel. Over, I think, 180 firefighters and personnel in SFD responded and provided feedback about what was most important in the qualities for the next police chief. We we heard that they wanted someone who had worked as a firefighter, who had worked their way up the ranks, and who was a leader of integrity. And Chief Oberg really checks all of those boxes. She's been a pleasure for the administration to work with. I think that's probably your experience as well. And we're delighted to bring forward this appointment for council's confirmation. I believe it's scheduled for action later this month.
Any questions? All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Okay, Adam McDaniel. Ordinance repealing inactive boards.
Yeah, this is just some code cleanup, just remove some SMC sections from 8 boards that have been inactive for many years or were never impaneled, and that's the Construction Review Board, the Board of Boiler Examiners, Board of Heating Mechanical Examiners, Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board, UHELP Advisory Board, Opioid Abatement Council, the Cable Advisory Board, and the Regional Cable Advisory Board.
Any questions for Adam? Just two for me. One, well, 2 comments, I guess. One is I would just throw it out there. I understand getting rid of the Regional Cable Advisory Board, but I just kind of wonder if we should have some kind of a franchise, a board or committee that just looks at all the different franchise agreements and just thinks those through from a kind of community perspective. So just throw that out there. And then second, I just wanted to share some concerns were brought to my attention. Plan Commission, we've only got 1 rep right now from District 3, and we have no reps from District 1. The rep has yet, that from District 1 is yet to be re-upped, and so we're kind of sitting without any representation on the Plan Commission. So I just want to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, for sure. If you could help me recruit some folks, that'd be great. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Jason Sandoval, apprenticeship utilization presentation.
Perfect. Okay. City Council, thank you for having me. City Council President, always a pleasure. City Council members, thank you. I'm here to talk about the Apprentice Utilization Ordinance update, our annual update, and today I'll be talking about the administration of the ordinance and its administrative process. We'll talk about the 2023 summary review and a little bit about the new ordinance process and some upcoming changes for 2024. So the administration of the apprenticeship program for all projects bidding after December 2021 would fall under the new revision, which would be on projects greater than $600,000. We'd require 15% of labor hours on each project to be performed by apprentices enrolled in a state-approved apprenticeship program for each trade or craft over 160 hours. And so that would be applied to the general contractor and all their labor, and then for every subcontract over $100,000. Previously, the apprenticeship ordinance, the utilization rate was just calculated by job, by the entire job, utilizing all the journeymen and labor hours. So this one is a little bit more specific to the trades. So kind of the basic process is a job will final out. We'll get final acceptance from the city. When that happens, once all the affidavit of wages paid are approved by L&I, we will process the summary report. That includes distributing the reports, filing it with city clerk, and distributing it to the summary to all the parties, publishing the quarterly report, and then also collecting any fines that may happen on those projects. So 2023, we started kind of to talk about the quantity of work we've ramped up in this past year coming out of COVID. So in this past year, we started 26 projects valued at over $77 million. So in 2023, compared to 2022, we had 13 projects that qualified at about $28 million. So the first couple projects under the new ordinance were processed in 2024. And some of the changes for 2024 is the process, is the ordinance process, how we process the reports, timelines, and I'll talk a little bit about how I'm going to do the reporting. It asks for an annual report, but in the report that I provided you had only 2 projects. It was about 36 pages long. And so as more come in, the report will be pretty large. So what I'm going to do is report it quarterly on the apprenticeship site on the city. So we'll be able to get it out there in chunks and make sure that it's for public viewing. All right, so some of the projects that we processed in 2023, and I won't go through, these were the ones that were processed under the old ordinance. So under the old ordinance, we're processing projects from 2019, 2020, and 2021. As you can see, we are mostly pretty positive on the projects with an above 15% rating, down on a few of them, but overall, I thought we did a great job.
And that's 15% overall, right?
Overall.
This isn't per trade.
Correct.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that applies with the new ordinance that was passed. And you're saying we've only had 2 projects?
That have completed. So they started in 2022, and most of these projects, as you can see, we have some projects from 2019 that are just coming to fruition right now. So depending on when they final out and when the contractors turn in all their affidavits of wages paid, we're able to calculate those totals.
And do you have, as part of this, the percentages for those trades in those 2 projects?
Yes.
Okay.
So all of these things, in order to keep it very transparent, we store them all on OnBase or on the city clerk's website. So anybody could view any of these reports at any time. They're all open to the public. So next slide. So the 2 projects that we did complete, the 2022 project, Riverside Avenue by DW Excavation and Residential Chip and Seal by Shamrock. And so I utilized one of them as an example of what the new form kind of looks like. The next slide. So the new ordinance process, we calculate the journeyman apprentice hours by trade. So the new reporting, at least annually, will collect and maintain and report the following: the name of each apprentice, apprentice registration number, name of project, dollar amount, apprenticeship, labor, craft, worked and trade craft, journeyman labor hours, and trade and craft, and also the number and type and rationale for any good faith efforts. So in the normal form we have up there, it has under the top, it's kind of small, but you probably saw it in your report. It just has the heading, has the project type, dollar amount. On the left, it kind of lists out all the general contractor and all the subcontractors on the project, sorted by their intent number filed with L&I, and also their dollar amount, so everybody could see who qualifies under the ordinance and who doesn't. Next slide. And so on it, this is kind of like a little bit more a closer view of what it tells: name of the project, dollar amount, bid and award date, the GCs and sub overviews with the intent numbers, and GC sub name and contract amount. And then on it, what we do is we go, and this is the actual one from the Riverside Avenue, Monroe and Division. We take each contractor, and based on their reports that they file with L&I, and L&I certifies their labor hours, we take those numbers and we calculate what their apprenticeship utilization percentage is. So we calculate their journeyman hours for each trade, if it's over 160, and if it's over 160 hours, we go ahead and process it. So DW Excavating, for example, laborers, they had 4,203 journeyman hours. Against that, they had 1,708 apprenticeship hours, so that was for a utilization rate of 28.9. Truck drivers, they had submitted a good faith effort for it. And power equipment operators, again, they had over 2,000 journeyman hours and over 700 apprenticeship hours to come out at about 25%. So we kind of take that and we do it for all the subcontractors also. If they're over 160 hours, calculate their percentages. Some of them made it, some of them didn't. So if you go down to 5 Star on, back one. That's okay. 5-star they had on their laborers, 700 labor hours, but only 64 apprenticeship hours, so they only had an 8% capture rate. So they were, if you go to the next slide. So then it breaks down the ones who were not compliant with it, talks about how many hours they were short, what their highest rating was, what violation rate whether it's their first, second, or third violation, and dollar amount. Next slide. Okay. And so that's that. In 2024, there's House Bill 1050, which is coming out. So statewide AUR apprenticeship utilization changes are coming. It expands the apprenticeship utilization requirements to all public works projects for all public agencies. Previously, it was just education and the city of Spokane who did it. There's some other cities, but it was mostly the state only required the education. So now it's going to all cities and all public municipalities. So it will be effective on projects starting July 1st in 2024 on projects $2 million and above will now be qualified, and then it'll go to 1.5 million in 2026 and then 1 million in 2028.
And so, sorry, going back to the previous where it showed the violations.
Yes.
So what, I guess, how much were they fined? How did that work out? I'm trying to read that. It's just hard to see from here.
So we'll look at 5-star. So they had a total of 64 apprenticeship hours on the job. They needed a minimum of 105, so they had a difference of 41 hours, 41.9 hundredths. And so what we do is we take the highest prevailing wage rate on that job, which was $44.04, and we take 30% of that, and then we utilize that to calculate the fine.
Okay. Now, I know the ordinance also allows for exemptions to be.
Yes.
And so were there any granted, and if not, why not?
Yes, for this one, so on the previous one where it's called for the GFE, so if, maybe it's after this one, right here. So if they had a good faith effort, so if you look under DW excavating for truck drivers, they submitted a good faith effort that they did not have any available. So what we do is when I file the report, the good faith efforts go at the end of our reports. So again, those will be all for public consumption. Have them out there. And so down below it, we have 5-star who had power equipment operators, but they only did 2.5 hours, so that's less than 160 hours, so that one was not calculated. Okay, so this is just what I kind of mentioned about some of the statewide changes that are coming, so. And we do have we've collected approximately 10 grand in 2022, between 2022 and 2023 that we'll be giving out this year. And with, I think in the mix that we have in collecting in the ones that I've processed for the first quarter, probably about another 5 or 6 grand coming in, so.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Go
So
ahead.
just clarity, Jason, when they pay the fine, the money comes in, it has to go directly back to what?
We return it to pre-apprenticeship programs in the area.
Okay.
So we put a pause on it during COVID because they stopped doing some of the training programs during COVID, but previously we probably issued about $15,000 to $20,000. We've reallocated back in grant money.
So probably Jason so these bidders come in, if they are egregious and they never meet their percentages under this new law, is that taken into consideration when we award grants or not? Or award these proposals?
Well, it will become more difficult as it goes on with their violations because of the tiered penalties. So at 30%, you saw what it was at. Well, it goes to 60, second violation, 90, third violation, and then after that, we look at different avenues of correction.
And are you looking at ongoing projects right now and seeing if they're meeting those percentage requirements, or are they also falling behind on some of these areas?
No, actually, like, we are in the transition period. So this happened probably 5 years ago when we first instituted the program. We kind of institute it, and everyone goes, yeah, we got it. And then we start finding people, and then they kind of come to you and start work. We're kind of at that process right now where they're coming in really trying to work out, like, how do they accomplish the things. I'm actually pretty surprised on how many contractors have reached out and really want to abide by it and do well by it. And as the state is moving towards it too, I think most of the general contractors who do public work will have to have some sort of program in place if they want to do work and get public dollars.
Yeah, well, and I think obviously the state law change will probably push that more, but it would be great if we could get, as we get more projects under the newer ordinance, to see the trends of what trades perhaps are continuing to have these issues, and should we either revisit, or is there something very different that needs to take place? But
yeah, and so we're in April right now, so I'll collect the first quarter reports and I'll publish it. And I'll make sure that I include you guys on the mailing list when it publishes out on our website, so you have the opportunity to take a look at it. And if you have any questions at any time, great, I'm more than willing to answer them.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Jason, just one quick question for the group. So on the trade hours, we don't see those until actually the jobs are completed, when the affidavits are filed, correct?
Yeah.
So
we can, so I'll look at the certified payroll as jobs are being worked, and you could get an idea if they're using apprentices or not on the projects. So if they're going about, if they get a quarter, we pay out 50% of a contract and they show no apprenticeship hours, I'll contact the contractor and ask, kind of get ahead of, do they need a good faith effort, or,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah, that's good to know, because to me, the intent of this was to get more apprentices utilized, right? That's the intention. So it seems like pushing them every step of the way is meeting the intention behind this, not just waiting till the end and then, oh, hey, we get to find you. You know,
Yeah.
That's
No,
not
we
what
do it
wanna
at the very beginning, at the pre-construction meeting. We're available there to kind of reiterate what the parameters are of the projects. And so we'll be there at the beginning. And by now, most of the contractors that we're dealing with, we've dealt with them for a year. So there's maybe annually we have 1 or 2 new contractors that may fall under this, but to do the larger projects, it's pretty consistently the same people.
Okay, that's helpful. Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay.
One other comment,
Oh, yeah.
Councilmember. So similar to the discussion we had last summer when we presented on this, do keep in mind that our current threshold for a project is $600,000, whereas the state is going to be $2 million. And ours is by 15% by trade craft, and then a separate threshold for subcontractors. In the new state legislation, it's going to maintain 15% overall project. So one of the things that Jason's working on right now is kind of a rough assessment of how much energy that's taking for the city of Spokane to have a different set of rules than everybody around us, both as far as the work that it takes the city of Spokane administratively to manage and administer the program, as well as the impact to all the contractors that are dealing with different legislation, because the city of Spokane Valley, Spokane County have different legislative rules. So now we're putting that burden on the contractors that they're operating under a different set of thresholds. So,
But I guess to be fair, I mean, I didn't support this new ordinance when we voted on it 2 years ago. But to be fair, we've had a different system than those around us for a while. So that's not new. In fact,
Yep.
you could almost argue they're catching up in a small way.
Yeah, it's a little way.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, there is, and I think that's why I went to push it to quarterly. So I want to get that report out to you so you kind of see what the report looks like, the work that goes into it, and what we're reporting, to see what benefit it is to y'all, right? You know, how are we using that data? Because it is a lot of data. We're capturing every single hour of every single project and who's doing it. So I want to make sure that the work that we're doing also is what y'all want, right, and need to process that we're being effective in what we're doing. But, and try to just dial that in, because it is all new. And like I said, we went through this 5 or 6 years ago when we first instituted it and kind of dialed it in. And so this is probably no different.
very good. Okay.
And last comment, that 600,000 is from the initial threshold we set 5 years ago. We
Right.
didn't change it in the 2021 legislature.
Yeah.
So when we look at other things that are increasing based on CPI and whatnot, we also want to take a look at that. And that's some of the initial
Yeah.
challenges we are hearing back is, hey, you haven't looked at that number in 5 years.
Well, the 2 million sounds a lot more reasonable in my mind than the 600, but that's a
Yeah.
policy debate, so. Okay, if nothing else. All right, we got one more item before the updates. Loan documents for Haifumi. Dawn, apologies, I would have had you up earlier if I had realized you were the one briefing this, so. Okay.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're looking for is we're looking for approval to go ahead. Should I proceed?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
We're looking for approval to issue the loan documents for the Haifumi and 1590 funded project. And a little bit of history on this, the RFP for this particular funding source went out in December of 2022, and then it closed in January of 23. It was reviewed, as this project was selected in March. It came before the council, March 27th or 31st, one of those two dates. And what came before you was what we have contracted for in terms of the dollar amount and what that dollar amount was paying for, which was the new construction of the new building. It is a 60% AMI. That is the highest AMI allowable in this particular affordable housing project. It's 88 units. It's senior and disabled housing. We have attached our affordability requirements to 14 units of that. It is a multi-funder project, and in multi-funder projects, every funder has their own income restrictions, and so they have their own affordability requirements that are then attached to the units that they're allowed to attach it to based off the amount of the project that they're funding. So that's where we're at today. Closing is imminent. And so that's why we're here with you today. What would you like to know?
I would just like to understand the loan aspect. I thought this was an allocation from 1590, and so I've just been confused by referring to it as a loan.
So our interpretation is that loans are an accessible use of 1590. I know Chris has sent a question earlier today back to legal. They're looking at it, but there's other counties in Washington State with 1590 open RFPs today that include loans as eligible uses of funds. So I wasn't here when that decision was made, and nor is anyone, I think, here from when that decision was made, but our interpretation is it's an eligible use, it's a supportive project, and it also allows those funds, upon capitalization of the whole project, to be returned to the city and reinvested. So in our mind, it's an ability to then recoup those funds after they've met the terms of affordability and reinvest them. So if providers like the Housing Authority are large enough and able to take on that kind of lending capacity, it's certainly an incentive to us to be able to recover and reinvest those dollars.
Is there an interest rate attached to it that they would pay it back with?
Yes, this one's on a 1%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
These are low, like this is low. We're not looking to do anything that
Yeah.
would damage a project. That's the whole purpose, is to keep the funding and the financing affordable.
Okay, and what's the term? How many years to pay it back?
So this one, without looking at the promissory note, I believe it's on a 40-year affordability term.
Almost all of ours are 40-year terms.
Okay, but we expect,
Occasionally we do 25, but they're almost always 40-year.
and we expect then that this wouldn't be forgiven at some point, it would actually be paid back in the,
Again, without going back to that document, I don't believe this one's forgivable.
Okay.
I think it needs to be paid at some point.
okay, great, that helps. Katie?
You said there were 14 units that were affordable?
14 units that we've attached our affordability requirements to. So the entire development, the entire project is affordable, but because we're not funding the entire project, we can only attach our affordability requirements to a certain percentage based off of the amount of funding that we're putting into the project. So that's why we have our affordability requirements attached to only the 14 units.
And how many of those are ADA accessible?
So I'm not sure how many, there's 17 units in the project that are set aside for disabled individuals, but I'm not sure how many of our 14, because we specified the senior housing portion of it when we were working with them, not the ADA component.
It could easily turn into it.
Yeah, these are floating units, so they get attached. They're not like fixed, like a number, that it's floating based off of incomes and things like that as people are going through the intake process.
Okay.
I'll just comment in support of this project, but it's been very confusing. And we're working on a better process of how we go through this in the future. So I think a little bit of grace for people who was here before you got here, and some counsel of what our particular roles are in these housing projects and how the units are allocated. And when we know about that, because the Mfumi and Proclaim Liberty have been challenging projects since like day one. But I'm glad they're online, they're moving forward, so thank you all for that. Thank you for taking all of our questions because we were confused. And so we'll go forward, thank you.
Thank you, and I would just say too, legal will get back to you, Chris. Hey, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, last item is just the updates, and we do not need to take too much time for this, so just kind of a 30-second quick snapshot. First up,
I have
council ops. What's that?
I said I have none.
Council Ops meets this week.
Yeah.
One thing that we're gonna or have been discussing is process for community requests of like community assembly, getting that on the resolution. I think that went through the neighborhood council work group, so I think we'll be talking about that process. And Jacoby, what else are we?
Staffing, continual staffing discussions in our budget director position.
And the
And
probably
the-
council budget overall.
Council budget. And there was a request for everyone to fill out a survey on staffing too. So if you all can submit a survey by today, because we're meeting tomorrow. I haven't done it yet, so.
I have not either, so. Okay, ARPA, we've talked a little bit about ARPA, but you guys made your recommendations. Is that
Yeah,
about it?
that was basically the recommendations.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Equity Subcommittee, any updates there? Alex, anything from you? Or Lily, do you have an update?
Yeah, I'll let Alex do it, but we had a great meeting last week at the Hillier Library, and we discussed just several things that we want to bring up to council, but I'll let Alex say the rest.
Yeah, good afternoon, council. Yep. So Equity Subcommittee had a retreat. They really want to focus down on, since they are part of this finance subcommittee, kind of start building some relationships with the chairs of finance. Also, start working kind of a vision and more definitions on equity and belonging around that. And then also, they have recommended 4 new members to the subcommittee, 2 from District 1, 2 from District 2. And we'll bring that up to you, I think, at the next finance meeting. And yeah, that's what I have for the equity subcommittee.
Okay. Language access, Alex, myself, and Lily met last week. Talked a little bit about this, just getting an update as to where we are. We are going to pull another meeting together and include Jarrell, who is in the process right now of hiring another staff member for his office. And so we're hoping to be able to get somewhere quickly. But is there any more current updates, Alex, from your end that you've been involved in on language access? No? Okay. Legislative committee, has there been a ledge meeting? No?
No.
Yeah, we actually did meet. Yeah, I think maybe I switched on.
Yes.
And we just discussed federal appropriation asks and timing. And one of the big asks that we're looking at was expansion of behavioral health unit for SPD.
Okay. No investment committee this month. SIRS, Councilmember Bingle is gone.
I'll just say we'll be voting, we'll be doing an interview this afternoon for a new SIRS
Yes.
board member, so.
Aging long-term care, is that you, Betsy?
Yeah, nothing up to date.
Okay. Association of Washington Cities Board?
Just that we have our annual conference in Vancouver in June. If you're interested in going, please show up, and we're working on our federal legislative agenda, which is very parallel to the city, so we'll be bringing that forward.
Yeah, and I think we as the AWC members find it very valuable and hope that all council members will go. Other cities bring their whole council to those conferences. It's in Vancouver this year.
And their youth board.
And their youth board. So I think it'd be great opportunity to hear from other people around the state too.
Okay. Fire pension, there's no real major updates there. We're just continuing to process the requests of the members. I think that's the same for police. Is that correct?
Correct.
Lodging tax advisory, both of them.
We're just looking at reallocations of monies right now, so other than that, no update.
TPA?
TPA, no update there. Very rarely meets, but the LTAC, the amendments coming today met. I think I briefed that already about changing it to the tourism and cultural investment grants.
That's right.
Thank you for saying the whole thing.
Okay, U District Public Development Authority and the Development Association.
I'm going to have Mr. Wright report on that. It's around their boards.
Yeah, the main focus lately has been a revision of their bylaws and potential charter change. I think
for their charter.
Pardon?
Their charter.
Their charter, but there's the PDA and then there's the Development Authority. We had some concerns about the proposals related to the PDA, and now they're not going to make any changes at the PDA level, but they are going to make some substantial changes at the Development Authority governance. Basically trying to make their staff life much simpler, more straightforward, better use of their time.
Great. I can't remember which committee it was at now, but we were doing rotating reports from the PDAs and others, and it seems like it'd be valuable to have the lead, Juliet, come and talk about what's happening there at the U District.
Okay, I'll talk to her about it.
Yeah, whenever it works, but I think that'd be valuable. Visit Spokane?
Yeah, we met last week. If you haven't noticed, Visit Spokane had a brand refresh, so a little logo change, which is exciting. We had a lot of discussion about kind of funding sources and truly trying to understand the different revenue streams between LTAC and TPA, how that works for Visit Spokane, but also for the PFD and others. I think one thing that the CEO of Visit is really trying to understand the lay of the land because no one's tracking those dollars super closely, and so appreciate that effort. And then lots of discussion about Expo. Visit's playing a big role in that and trying to get the word out. And also placemaking. So there's a lot of effort that they're doing on trying to build up placemaking into the tourism experience here. Visit's also, Rose Noble, the CEO, is also on the Tourism and Cultural Investment Grants Committee, and is offering to be a resource to applicants on trying to bridge the gap on those who are applying and don't know how to quantify beds and those sorts of things that are requirements in the reporting to the state. But yet for small, new people who might apply, they might not know how to do that. So I think it's been really helpful.
Okay, great. West Plains.
And I will say that we just supported the new Tech Hub initiative out there in the West Plains, but I think it'd be beneficial, Councilor McCackart, if they came and spoke to council as well. So put them on our list.
And then Northeast Public Development Authority, just a couple things. We're moving forward with our big project on Wellesley and Haven. Real exciting stuff. One tiny setback and some parking stuff, but we're working through that. And then we're also looking right now for some potential temporary office space as we're trying to bring on an employee, and we need additional office space to accommodate that. So that's an ongoing discussion. And then we're also looking at some new marketing options. The previous company that we were engaged with is kind of changing their focus, and so we've got to find a new provider there. But and the last thing I'll just mention is, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe it's June 21, there will be a ribbon cutting at the Children of the Sun Trail. So really excited for that. And my understanding is Governor Inslee will be here for it. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And then lastly, intergovernmental affairs. I don't see Eric, so we'll move on that one. I think he'll give us an update next time. And then equity and inclusion initiatives. Anything additional to add there?
Generally stuff that you've been working on that would be helpful for us all to know, I think. We haven't really done these good check-ins yet.
Just a real quick piece would be like, today on Earth Day will be the Environmental Justice Working Group is actually tabling outside of the Chase Committee again, with a few different groups like NAACP and Native Project will also be here. So how do we welcome more people into the space? But that's all.
Great. Okay, anything else? Nope, none? All right, we will adjourn and we'll see everybody back here next month. Thank you all.
Thank you.